Welcome back. It's art time class. Today, we're going to be making a 1-point perspective drawing. Let's get started. To begin, let's discuss 1-point perspective. That's when you have a drawing that has a single vanishing point on the horizon line. On my example here, you see all of the straight lines line up to the center point right here. Even the tops of the buildings and the trees line up to meet to that little point right there. That's what makes this a 1-point perspective drawing. Parallel is when you have two lines that never intersect. On this paper here, you can see the vertical lines for the buildings are all parallel to each other, and they never intersect. No matter how far I draw those lines, they would stay the same distance apart all the way. And then perpendicular is when you have two lines that meet at a 90-degree angle. That's when you have this point right here. This parallel line, these two, right here, it changes directions at a 90-degree. That's parallel. This vertical line and this horizontal line are parallel to each other, and that will help make them look three-dimensional. Here is it down here and right there. So 1-point perspective, parallel, and perpendicular. Let's go ahead and start our drawing by first practicing a light line. The first few lines we make are all going to be erased. So we want to practice not drawing hard, but drawing very lightly, even lighter, as lightly as you can, okay? And you can draw on your sketchbook like this, or you can rotate your paper if you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and do that and lay my ruler down somewhere in the middle. It can be a little lower, a little higher, or right in the middle. It's up to you. And I'm going to draw a very light line going across. Next, I'm going to pick a vanishing point somewhere in the middle. You can just guess where the middle is, or if you want to measure it, go for it. Once you have that, you're going to create two diagonal lines that mirror each other. They're always going to start at the vanishing point, and they're going to come down to the right very lightly, and then mirror that by starting at the vanishing point and going down to the left. Next, we're going to do the same at the top. This is going to be the top of my building. I need to start at that vanishing point and lightly make a line going up. And again on the other side. You could make both sides buildings, or you can make one side trees, one side buildings. It's up to you. Next, I'm going to start making the lines for my road and sidewalk. If you want to do a railroad, you can do that as well. So starting at my horizon line at that vanishing point. And this line is not going to be erased, so I can do a darker line if I'd like. You can definitely see the difference, a darker and lighter line. And I want to mirror these. So I'm actually going to measure, let's see here. So right here, I can see the difference is about 1 inch. So I'm going to make this about a 1 inch difference as well. So I put a little guide mark. I'm going to line up my ruler at the vanishing point in that guide mark. And again, I'm not going to erase this line. I made a mistake already. And it was one of the hard lines. Okay. The harder I press my pencil down, the harder it's going to be to erase later. All right, let's do that again. You know what, this time I'm going to not cross over. I was crossing over, and when you cross over, more mistakes happen. So let's not do that. Let's line them up on this side of the ruler instead. Okay. Oh, all right. This is going to be my two sidewalks, and then I also want to create a center dotted line as well. So again, let's measure. Let's measure this. So if that's at 7, that would be right here at 3.5. Okay, that looks good. And I want to have this come out slightly. So starting at that vanishing point, and I want to do lightly because I'm doing a dotted line. I am going to need to erase in between. So let's do a light line. And again on this side. Oh, let's line that up. I don't want to cross over. Let's do... I'm going to flip it all the way over. There we go. Oof, that looks a lot better. And I can actually go ahead and make this line a little darker as well. Oh yeah, you can always go back and make something darker. I always recommend doing a light line first because once it's down dark, it's a little harder to erase. Now it's time to add a bunch of horizontal lines coming up. This gives us not just our dotted center line for the road, but it will also give us the sidewalk concrete lines as well. And these lines can be dark if I'd like, because I'm not going to erase them. And I'm actually going to turn this over to the side. I think that's going to make it easier. So as I'm doing this, I'm going to have these be farther apart. And then as I move up, they're going to get a little closer and closer together. That's going to help give it more and more depth to my picture. If you want to take the time to measure, you are more than welcome to do that. Oh yeah, I'm really glad I turned my paper. All I did was rotate it 90 degrees, and that made a big difference. All right, so my lines, I need to get a little closer as I continue. And I will not need to erase these lines, so I can do them dark if I'd like. If you want to play it safe and do lighter lines first and then go dark, that's totally fine. I love it when you take your time. Remember, I don't need you to finish your artwork. I just need you to do your best. All right, my lines are getting closer and closer together. That's going to give it more depth. Oh, they're almost at that vanishing point. Okay, now they're at that vanishing point. Next, I need to erase every other spot to make these into a dotted line. So I'm just going to come back and erase every other one. Then I can go back and go ahead and color this in. A great trick for coloring into a straight line or a straight edge is use that ruler, line it up. This will help make you faster when you're coloring in, and it will keep a really nice straight edge as well. So a little pro tip there. Ooh, a little mistake there. I think it's going to be okay though. I can go back and erase. It's like super tiny. Yes, excellent. And then I'm going to rotate it in the other direction and do the same thing with the other edge. Oh, so pristine. There we go. It's a little messed up right here. when I free draw it, it looks a little sloppy to me. I can definitely tell the difference. I am the art teacher. I'm trained to see the difference. Okay, so here is my road. Oh, it's looking great. If I want to add a car, I could totally do that. Trees, buildings. Now it's the time to add. I would say buildings first on one side. If you want to do it on both sides, you can. I'm going to go ahead and do it on the right side. Let's zoom in and get a close look at the action. So I'm going to do some parallel lines from this diagonal line to this diagonal line. And I want to be light, especially at the top, because it's at the top of the buildings where I'm going to do a bit of erasing. So let's go ahead and do one right here, parallel line. And they can be however far apart you want. As they get closer to that vanishing point, they are going to get closer together. It's going to help it make it look like it's getting smaller and smaller. And we went over that in last week's drawing. As you get closer to the horizon line, everything got smaller. And in a one-point perspective drawing, it's everything as you get closer to the vanishing point gets smaller. So it's like a little added something there. This horizontal line, I can go ahead and erase. In fact, if you erase it beforehand, it might even be easier. All right, so that's erased, and I'm going to go ahead and add in a few more. This is going to give it like a little opening break, like a alleyway in between the buildings. And I want to erase this on top in between there. Let's do another one right here. And I can have some buildings that are connected, some buildings that are separated. If you want to do buildings that are taller than the other, that is totally okay too. Like say I want to do a building that's taller right here. I would bring this line higher up. And let's see, if my vanishing point's right there, this would come up that direction. So I started at the vanishing point and lined it up to right here, went up. And then I'm going to take this line and bring that up higher to meet it. So this one building is going to be taller than the others. Maybe draw that part. Didn't quite line up. There we go. All right, now I'm going to add a few perpendicular lines to help really make these buildings stand out. So that's when I take this point right here. Bam. Did y'all see that? Let's do this one over here. Shazam. And down here as well. Don't forget about these guys in the alleyway. All right, now this tall building that I added, say it comes back. And maybe it stops and comes back down. A little bit right there. Ooh, yes, I like that. Let's line up, make this one a little darker. Let's make this line a little darker. So like you got to really utilize your ruler. We've done a few drawings with rulers. This is super important to be using the ruler on your buildings. It's going to really give it nice cube block type shape. Yes. What if I want to do a building that's shorter? I can definitely do that. Erase the top here. And I want to make it like down here. So see, I'm lining up with the vanishing point. I'm going to top off this building down here. And then perpendicular to that. Bam. Yes. And then this comes out Down here. Maybe it comes all the way back that way. Like it. Oh, it's like those buildings just vanish into the distance. Yes. So that's like the hard part. You'll probably spend your most time working on your buildings. If you want to add windows and doors, definitely go for it. When you're doing a window or a door, those vertical lines are all vertical. But it's the line right here for the top of the door needs to line up with that vanishing point. So I'm going to line it up with the vanishing point and add that in right there. And that's going to make that door look like it's also lined up with all the buildings. So that's a little harder to do. I can even add a perpendicular little line here. Let's see, let me flip this over. It's going to look like it has a bit of a door frame happening. Line it up with the vanishing point. So it looks like it's going into the building a little bit right there. And there's a lot of different things you can add to a building to make it more realistic or more cartoony. It's totally up to you. When you're doing trees, you're going to still line up the tops of your trees. Now, trees can be a little different heights because they're very organic. I recommend erasing where the tree's going to go first, and then kind of creating your tree trunk. Maybe you got a few tree branches that come out. No broccoli trees, but you can definitely fluff your trees. You want to have the branches where they can be seen still. And then say I do another tree right here. I want to line them up. So I'm going to erase where it's going to come up. I'm going to bring it down here somewhere. So things that are closer are going to have bigger details as you come down. And as they get closer to that vanishing point, they're going to be a lot smaller. A little more definition to these branches. Ooh, I'm loving it. And then grass. I'm gonna do some grass lines. Always helps. I could add like grass lines coming up here. Like there's a little grass growing right there. Maybe I have a cat hanging out over here. A little alley cat. Meow. Or dog. It's up to you how you do it. It can be cartoony. Let's see, let's make him sit. And a little tail hanging out over here. Well, I can't wait to see what you guys create in the classroom. I'm just like having a lot of fun here. I could just keep drawing. Love this. So nice. Woo! All right. Till next time, class. Keep being creative.